Hello everyone, I'm Shubhriya Rai Chaudhary from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, and today my topic of discussion is food chain. The transfer of food energy from the producers through a series of organisms with repeated eating and being eaten is known as food chain. So here we can see the food energy is transferred from producers to primary consumer, then to secondary consumer, then to tertiary consumer, and finally to quaternary consumer level. Producers utilize the radiant energy of sun, which is transformed to chemical form ATP during photosynthesis. Thus green plant occupy the first trophic level and it's known as producer level. Then these producers are being eaten by the next level, that is herbivores or primary consumer. So they constitute the second trophic level. The primary consumers are being eaten by the secondary consumers and they constitutes the third trophic level. Secondary consumers are being eaten by tertiary consumers and they constitutes the fourth trophic level. Now apex predators, or we can say top consumer level, so which are not further eaten by any other organism. And decomposers are the organisms, for example bacteria, which utilizes the dead organic matter. Food chain involves a nutritive interaction between the living organisms, and only 10% of the energy goes to the next trophic level and 90% of energy is lost as heat, maybe due to cellular respiration or necessary functions for life. There are two types of food chain: grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Grazing food chain. This type of food chain starts from the living green plants, goes to herbivores and then to carnivores. Ecosystems with such type of food chain are directly dependent on an influx of solar radiation. This type of chain thus depends on autotrophic energy capture and the movement of this captured energy to herbivores and then to carnivores. So here we can see example of both terrestrial and aquatic food chain, where we can see that food energy get transferred from producer to primary consumer to secondary consumer to tertiary consumer and finally to quaternary consumer. Here is another example of terrestrial food chain where we see that food energy is getting transferred from producers to different level of consumers. Same in case of aquatic food chain where the food energy is being transferred from phytoplankton to zooplankton to invertebrates, then to small fish, and finally to large fish. Detritus food chain goes from dead organic matter into microorganisms and then to organisms feeding on detritus and their predators. Such ecosystems are less dependent on direct solar energy. This depends chiefly on the influx of organic matter produced in another system. So here we can see that The food chain starts with dead organic matter and passes through detrivores, that is microorganisms, and then to detrivore consumer, and then to small fish, and finally to large fish. In the next example also we can see like the dead leaves are being consumed by woodlouse, and which is further being consumed by blackbird. Now, significance of food chain. In all types of food chain, one organism becomes the food of the other organism. As a result, a situation of eating and being eaten exists. So, this maintains a check on the population and a balance in the ecosystem. The knowledge of food chain helps in understanding the feeding relationship as well as the interaction between organism and ecosystem. It also helps in understanding the mechanism of energy flow and circulation of matter in ecosystem. And finally, it also helps to understand the movement of toxic substance and the problems associated with biological magnification in the ecosystem. Thank you for watching video.